So, you can have Brexit, or you can have the NHS. You cannot have both. This is something that, on this channel, we've been saying for the past 3 years now. Even before that. But the hardcore Brexiteers are determined to get Brexit. But if they get Brexit, they lose the NHS. And a lot of these hardcore Brexiteers out there, and people still wanting Brexit, massively rely on there being an NHS. And they can't have both. And we've said numerous times before, this isn't even a case of the EU. This is just our government cutting funding to the NHS constantly. They literally went, okay, you need to save this much, and then the NHS, okay, we've saved that much, and then they've gone back and gone, you need to save even more. And then the NHS have gone, okay, we've saved that much. And then they go, we need to save you even more. And then the NHS have gone, okay, we've saved that much, but we're really tight. We cannot shave any more off our budget. Doing so is pushing the NHS to a massive, crisis point. And you get to a point where the whole Conservative ideology is just cut and cut and cut until it fails, and then they've got an excuse to privatise it. And once it's privatised, it's gone. And it gets even worse if you throw Brexit into the mix, because Donald Trump and Billy. So this is what the week started off out as. We started off before his visit with the ambassador to the USA saying that the NHS would be on the table in any trade deal. We then had Trump himself say that the NHS would be on the table on any trade deal. You then had all this hoo-ha of people actually realising, oh no, I don't want to lose the NHS, but if I don't want to lose the NHS, then I might have to give up Brexit. And all of a sudden, Trump then changes his mind, out of the blue, but I don't think so, to go, the NHS is not going to be on the table. Only for then to, I think it was the American pharmaceutical lobby industry, the next day to come out and say that any trade deal with the United Kingdom will have to include the NHS. And we've been saying this on this channel for years. They are going to want to get rid of things like NICE, which is an acronym, but I can't remember what it's an acronym for now. And NICE goes out and sorts out buying drugs for the NHS. The Americans will insist in a trade deal that NICE gets completely abolished and that we are forced to buy a certain amount of drugs from the American pharmaceutical industries, which will basically, they will increase and inflate as high as they possibly can, because under that trade deal, we are now forced to do this. And this gets even stupider when you think about what Brexiteers apparently wanted from Brexit. They wanted sovereignty, and they wanted to get rid of all these rules. Well, essentially what they are getting is what we've been saying all along, is you are trading the EU rules, which are some of the highest standards in the world, and that have ensured really good consumer protection, and that the consumers are getting the best possible products they can get from companies, and that so companies can't cut corners and, release a somewhat dodgy product like they do in the US. But you are now left with that, basically going, that's the EU standards, where we actually have a say in how those rules and standards are implemented, to basically going, okay, we're going to accept the US standards, which will basically be, you accept the US standards and you have no say in any way, shape or form how those standards are implemented or regulated, or if they are worse, you can do nothing about it. That is a loss of sovereignty. That's what loss of sovereignty looks like to the Brexiteers, and yet there are many people who are championing this WTO Brexit who want that. And not only that, the people who are championing for a WTO Brexit have nothing to say when Trump is flagrantly breaking the rules of the WTO. You know, this is absolutely, it's mind-boggling, the absolute nonsense that has gone on. And we have said from the very beginning, you will lose the NHS post-Brexit. That is the hard right Tory aim, to get rid of Brexit, to get rid of all regulation that protects you, that protects me, protects workers' rights. They want to get rid of it all. They do not think that the government should have any place at all in market regulation. That is the hard Tory right ideology. And that is what many of these people who are pushing for a hard right WTO Brexit want. And currently there is only one candidate that is come out and saying, look, WTO Brexit is completely nonsense. But you have all these other guys who are going, well, we might delay it until 2020. Or you have Boris Johnson, or I think it was Hunt, who basically said, yeah, I'll just pull Parliament and just basically force an Article 50. Which, good on John Bercow for coming out and saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to do that. This is absolutely, completely ridiculous. And this once again shows the absolute hypocrisy of the leaders of the Brexiteers saying one thing and then doing something else. You also have their flock who don't seem to care about what their leaders are doing, but they just want Brexit because they apparently just want Brexit, which is this complete this is completely ridiculousness of this. They feel they want it because they've been told for the past 30 to 40 years that the EU is a bad thing, and yet you are willing to literally hand over actual sovereignty, because once you sign a trade deal, by the way, you can't get out of it. It is impossible and very hard to get out of. Whereas as we are in the EU, we actually have a say on what goes on in these regulations. We can actually say, no, we don't want to do that. We can actually veto them if we really don't want them. And by the way, the UK has actively vetoed the anti-tax avoidance rules, which forces massive mega companies to avoid paying taxes. And yet, apparently, these also same people want these companies to pay taxes, but then ignore that that's what the EU is doing, and ignore that that's what our current government has told, has done this. So, once again, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's unbelievably stupid, but that's just Brexit for you. It's just one stupid mess after another. And it's going to get even more stupid if it actually goes through.